Hi, I'm Bob Kelly, here to introduce our new Halloween tape. We have 3 fine makeup artists working on them, and I think you and your whole family is going to enjoy them. The children can paint you, and you can paint your children. Have fun. See you next Halloween.
Hi, I'm Doug Drexler, and this is Rosalie. She's our model, and we're going to do a skeleton makeup on her, a simple one, step by step. You'll be able to do it, too, no problem, because we're going to show you how it's done. Watch this. So here we are 3 months later doing the soundtrack to this thing. We're not even in Brooklyn anymore. We're John,
yeah.
We're in St. Thomas on the beach.
We are right now.
And the sun is fantastic. The air is clean.
And the orange juice.
Beautiful girls. The bar is just within walking distance from us, and the waves are gently lapping onto the beach.
Another orange juice, please.
So anyway, what are we doing here? We're supposed to do the description on this.
Right, this is your skull makeup.
The skull, yes.
A beautiful skull makeup.
Thank you, thank you.
Beautiful.
You know, the skull has always been a very special thing for me because, I mean, what would I do without it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a scary image, you know, the human skull. I mean, what is it about the human skull that is so
I mean, it's
frightening?
like it's like everything that we know. Our whole existence is encased in this vault of bone, you know, and the idea of it being dismembered from the body outside the head, you know, that's scary.
You know, the deep black sockets and the, you know, what is it that is scary about it? Is it just, I guess it represents, you know, one's own mortality.
How many great horror makeups in horror films have been based on human skulls?
Yeah.
Dick Smith's Linda Blair in The Exorcist, you know, where he brought out...
Where he blocked out her eyebrows and made them like browless, like bone, and how he sunk her eyes to make them look real sick and deep. Yeah, it's just
you know, or Alien. If you take a good look at a photo of the alien from Alien, you could see through the front, there's like a frosted piece of plexiglass.
The membrane.
You could see a human skull in there, and it's difficult to make out. But
well, not just, excuse me for interrupting, but it's just that you have to know how to do human skull before you can do skin. I mean, this is the basis upon skin is laid.
It's the same as when you're drawing. You can't draw people. If you're going to draw someone, you have to understand the anatomy to put clothing on it properly.
Right. What's underneath and how it moves. So what better to start with than a human skull and do a paint, you know, makeup with a human skull. You're getting the feeling of where everything's placed on the face, where the bones are placed on the face. Plus,
the nice thing about starting with a human skull is that all the forms are very definite. It's black and it's white, you know, so it's very much like a drawing. It'd be much more simpler than, you know, tackling something.
It's a graphic.
Exactly.
No, it's a nice makeup to start learning how to paint it.
Okay, so where do you start? I mean, everyone has a skull, but you can't just take it out and look at it. You got to go to Run and get an anatomy book or grab a encyclopedia. Even, you know, I think even a dictionary has a nice little drawing of a skull in it.
Sure. I mean, Gray's Anatomy is a book that you can get, and it's got everything, muscles, bones, the works, every part of the body. I mean, that's a good book for anatomy.
Excellent. And of course, you could just feel your skin around the socket of your eye, and you'll feel that shape.
Yeah.
And
that's the best thing to do.
Right now, if you just take your finger and feel the bone around the eye, you'll see that it traces the shape that you know, we've painted on there. So as you are painting on the person you're working on, just run your finger along.
I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this tape are working on themselves, and you know, get used to your own. That's how I started. You know, that's how I started doing paint and makeup. Since I was my best guinea pig. And I felt my own face and where my cheekbones were, where my orbitals were, and I did makeup on myself. And that's, I guess, what most people are doing.
And that's when you find out who your friends really are.
Yes. Yeah.
I can see we're coming in on the last lap of the orbit of the eye, ladies and gentlemen.
By the way, the music that you're listening to in the background here is one of our favorites that we listen to a lot in the lab when we're working on films, and it's a kind of a upward jazz type feeling, and we play it in the lab, so it helps us to do our work. Maybe it'll help you. Beautiful orbital work there, Doug. Beautiful.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Well, you know, I really have watched you and have grown from that experience.
Yeah.
Is this thing running?
I think it is.
Okay, the eyes. The eyes are complete. Well, pretty complete. Obviously, I think it needs a little bit more this or that. I think I'm doing a little more of that. Than
Well, you
wait,
know,
oh no, wait. I'm starting the nose.
Yeah, you want to just give it those basic shapes, I think. Get, you know, those landmark things in the skull that are there on every skull. I mean, you can mix it up a little later when you get better with it, you know, and you play with this skull design. You can really have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, you know, what the nose, if you take the skin off, what the nose really is it's kind of a triangle, like a pyramid.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's bisected right down the center by a piece of cartilage. So if you just do like, you know, a rounded upside down, well, put a triangle there but leave a space down the center, you'll have basically what the nose should look like. But if you check the drawing, I mean, even better.
Mm-hmm. Well, most of the nose, from like the tops of those triangles on the top of the nose there, out toward the nostrils, I mean, that's just all flesh and cartilage. There's no real bone matter there. That's just an extension.
So what we're really doing is we're creating a kind of optical illusion.
Yeah.
You know, this makeup, I mean, it looks good from the side, but basically it's viewed best from the front.
Mm-hmm.
And we're tricking the eye. If you've ever walked around New York City, there are buildings in Midtown where they've taken an empty face of a building and painted a three-dimensional illustration of windows and gingerbread and stuff, and it looks like there's a building there.
It's three-dimensional. It looks three-dimensional.
It fools the eye, and people walk by it for years and think that there's really a building there. Then one day they stop and they realize that the light isn't bouncing across the glass, you know, and they say, geez. And this is the same thing, but doing it with a human face, very strange.
Well, you know, in this modern day of makeup technology, you know, you don't get a chance to, you know, pull stuff out of your kid every day, you know, as being a professional makeup artist. You know, this is fun. Working with paint is, it's a must for any makeup artist. You have to start with paint before you can get into clay and sculpture and three-dimensional things.
If you don't understand the forms, how can you expect to sculpt a three-dimensional object?
Mm-hmm.
But hey, what? I'm moving on to the teeth here. You know, if you just try, you can do chiclet-like shapes for teeth, which is great, or you could get a little mirror and take a look at your own teeth and see the character, you know, how certain teeth are you know, curve in a certain direction, the anatomy of the tooth. If you take a fine brush like a Kelly 1R and you paint the teeth in and you use a little bit of anatomy, it's just going to look that much more real. And the teeth, that's the focusing point of the skull. So the more time you spend putting the teeth in, making them look real, the better and the scarier the makeup's going to look.
Yeah, it's right out there in front. It's the first thing that you see on the skull. That's the highest point on the skull is the teeth. It's really, yeah, I agree. You know, to get that anatomy in there is really important. There you're painting your incisors in.
Now, well, check the little pointy little tip on the incisor there. I mean, the incisors, they call those your canine teeth.
Yeah.
You know, because those are the teeth that they believe...
Tear.
Exactly.
Tear up food.
So if you make them a little more pronounced, you're going to make this face look more predatory.
And notice how, Doug, you painted very nicely. The center line going down the middle of the nose to the middle of the lip. The two central teeth split the midline of the nose, you know, between both nostrils, and that's important. You don't want to get off center on your teeth there.
You know, a little thing like that may not seem important, but you add all those little things up, and it could be the difference between whether or not a makeup works.
Well, a skull is very, very symmetric. A human skull. There's a lot of symmetry to it, and you know, careful attention to detail is important.
But anyway, you know, we should run over some of the. We let all this tape go by, and we've hardly said anything about the materials that we used.
Oh,
As-
yeah.
I mean, as few as they are. There's only, you know, the black, which what I used here was the Kelly watercolor black. Of course, you could also use SL9, which Bob has. And for the white, which we haven't started putting on yet, and we will momentarily, is just Kelly white cream stick or clown white. And of course, you could powder the makeup, which would dry it and keep it from smearing. But personally, I liked it when it was wet. It looks much darker and deeper. So I didn't powder my makeup. Another good brush is the 10F or the 2F. They're flat, little flat brushes. Would come in real handy painting on the nose and around the eye.
I think you're using a 2F there, right?
Yes, John, that's correct. That is a 2F. Little maxillary arch action there, ladies and gentlemen. You notice with the sophistication and grace.
Just like the fine Japanese writing masters. Look at how you use that brush, lad.
If only I had a bamboo brush.
Oh, painting is fun. This reminds me of the beginning for me, where I would sit up in the bathroom at night, where all the other kids were playing football in the street, and I'd be painting my face and doing skull makeups. They're great at night.
Oh yeah, because the rest of the face just drops out. And all there is
the
is
whole
skull.
body drops out, and you've got that white and your black image looking at you in the dark.
Oh, John, one thing I want to add here, the great thing about these wide brushes that I love is, well, like you were mentioning, like the Japanese, graphic artists.
Yeah.
With a wide, thin brush like that, you could get thin lines, and you could turn the brush and make a wider, more expressive line. Because if you take a look at some of the heavier lines, you'll see that, they vary in shape.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that and you practice it, you'll begin to develop a technique that you're not even thinking about for making the line heavier underneath.
I see what you just did there on the cheekbone there. You did a fine line, and then you turn on the corners of the teeth. It's a thicker line, and you turned your brush square.
It's much more expressive. It keeps the drawing from looking uninteresting and flat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It gives it some depth and dimension. Take your fingers and just feel like right under your eye, where you're under the cheekbone, which is what's being, pretty much drawn in there now. Feel, whoever you're working on it yourself, just feel under there and see where it is, and then just lay the lines on top of that.
Well, I think before you started this makeup, you did go around and check for certain landmarks. You actually pushed on her face a little bit to see, because as I can see here, you're really hitting her lines beautifully. The temple and the cheekbone. For her face, it looks like it goes right there, and that's really important on the skull makeup.
Little jawbone action happening here.
That little dip in the jawline there.
Now there's some subtle things in there. You keep a drawing nearby, or if you could borrow somebody's skull, that's not too bad. If someone's really your friend, they'll loan you their skull.
Yeah.
Yeah. Want to borrow the keys to my skull tonight?
We'll usually send Igor out for those, don't we?
Listen, we drag the canal down here, and we
Yeah.
find all the skulls we want. Okay, I think I'm getting ready for some character here. Because look, you see, I have to hold my right hand with my left hand, like T.J. Hooker shooting a gun.
Yeah, I like that.
See that?
Wrist action.
I realized that while watching a police show.
Did you?
Yeah.
I like that.
Aha, some generous helping of black Bob Kelly makeup there. Fill in all the dark areas. Do not be. Don't spare the horses there, James. Just pile it in because it's got to be dark.
So what you're doing now is you're filling in the gap with black. You're going to do the black first.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go into the white later. So you have this nice sharp line on it.
Yeah. You know, I think that a lot of people, their first instinct is to grab the white and do the whole face white and then go back with black. But then you end up with a lot of gray smudges.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah, I've done that.
It's easier to lay the black on first and then, you know, go back and work around the black. You don't actually have to do white right up to the very edge. As long as it's close, people's eyes will fill it in.
Yeah.
You know, even a close-up.
This reminds me of a very brief moment in The Exorcist, the movie, where Father Karras is having a nightmare, and there's a flash of a human skull, and it's a paint makeup on a human face, but it's so effective in a flash.
Scared the wee-wee out of me.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I hit the theater ceiling. It was that flash, and it was this face. It was this one.
Subliminal.
Yeah.
Subliminal little flash.
Oh, so effective.
It used to
so
send
effective.
a lightning bolt through you. And you only saw it for that's the trouble with movies today. They show everything. They don't leave anything to the imagination.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not affecting the person's imagination and touching them in a certain way to make them feel it using the bare minimum, and if you're laying everything out there, you're cheating.
Yeah. I mean, this film, The Exorcist, was a multi-million-dollar production, and they didn't spend $500,000 on this makeup. They did a paint makeup, which was, for the scene, the most effective thing that I can think of. I mean, it scared the heck out of me. But skulls are fun. They're scary.
Well, you know, skulls have always represented death and supernatural,
poison.
It's something that we're taught to, you know, be afraid of and to take notice of. But like you said, I mean, I think that really hits it on the head. That it reminds us of our own mortality.
Yeah.
That's what's so scary about it. Really important to have crisp lines around the teeth. I mean, if they're not sharp and crisp, they're not, you know, hey, let's face it, they're not scary, you know?
Yeah, and they don't really punch out on the face. You've got to really define them. And the darker you go and how true your black color is, you know, around the teeth, makes those teeth jump right out at you.
Hey, John, I'm going to get a couple more margaritas. You want one?
I'll take another orange juice.
Oh, yeah?
And pick up some more Habana Soleil, okay?
Oh, that sun is incredible. See the little black triangles down there towards the bottom of the teeth?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you look at corn has the same
That's
shape.
right. Yeah, I think that's a good example
You know.
to follow.
And if you look up the tooth, like about midway up the tooth is really where the gum would start to be. And
That's
as
right.
you get older, the gum starts to recede down from the tooth, and the teeth become open gapped.
That's right. You see right between them.
And, you
And
know,
listen, when you have no gums or lips anymore, which I hope a lot of you people out there don't have.
and yes, I expect that some of you do not have
But,
lips.
you
or
know, on a
gums.
skull, you can see right through the teeth. They're just sticking out of a bone.
Yeah,
Scary.
yeah. Hence the term long in the tooth. That's right, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, when someone gets old, they say that they're long in the tooth. That's
Oh.
because the gum's receding. Yeah. Isn't that great?
That's a possibility.
You know, we're going to have to label this tape Halloween Makeup Biology 1.
Yeah. I wish when I was going to high school they had this.
Look at that, Annette. Masterful.
Really defining that sharp jawline there.
Incredible.
It's amazing. I'd be a little nervous, you know, just painting so boldly. You know, you're really boldly painting the face there, like, you know, an oil painter paints a canvas.
Remember, the jaw hinges right in front of the ear. So that's where that bottom jaw comes up and meets the good old maxillary arch. That's it right there. The little undercurrent of black under there. A little more depth behind the eyes.
Yeah, it really makes them sink. the temples.
And you know what makes me think too? It makes me think we're almost done with the skull makeup.
We're coming into the home stretch, I
Oh,
think.
yeah. Well, I haven't added any white yet. You mean?
Oh, we have the white to lay down.
That's right.
Oh, I see you giving it some character lines there.
Yeah,
Showing
take that old Bob Kelly 1R brush and go in there and, you know, if you look at a drawing of a skull, you'll see the little cracks and things that run across it. Don't make them up, you know. I mean, you can't even tell me, you know, what color shirt your mother was wearing this morning. You know, how you going to know what to put on it? You can't just draw anything. It's got to be realistic. You know?
Oh, here goes the white. This is,
It's the pièce de résistance.
yeah, this is where you're going to start to see all those lines come to life here. So you've given yourself kind of a blueprint to follow.
Right.
She has a good face.
Oh, she
For this.
She has a great face for this. As a matter of fact, she has a great face for the makeup that you're going to do after this one.
Yeah.
Because she has a, you know, she looks a lot like Linda Blair.
Yeah,
You know?
she does. She's got the apple cheeks and the big wide eyes, and just the shape of her face is very similar. By the way, we've mentioned The Exorcist a few times, and I guess for you and for me,
For everybody.
yeah, people that were serious about makeup and are serious about it now, The Exorcist was really a great movie as far as
It was The Exorcist that made everybody stop and.
consider the makeup. No eyebrows. Doesn't that do something when the eyebrows are blocked out? Boy, it gives the feeling that there's no skin there anymore.
Yeah. There's a certain vicious evilness to it.
Yeah, it's very stark.
I mean, why should it be also
Expressionless almost. It's very expressionless. That's kind of scary.
It's really amazing how effective just paint can be.
Yeah, and two colors. Two colors.
I did a run through on myself before doing her just to see how it would look, and I didn't think it would be as good as it turned out. But
Oh, it looks terrific, Doug. Beautiful.
it's a good way to get a seat on the subway.
Surf's up.
You want to bring that line. Use a 10F brush to lay the white in right next to the black there. You know, you really don't want to go over the black unless you can't avoid it because it tends to smudge and get gray.
Yeah, but you're keeping the lines very sharp and clean. I notice how you go up to the edge of the black first and then work your way in. So to not mix up the colors too much, you keep it right close to the black. It seems like you're painting into close to the black line first, and then working your white in to the middle.
Oh,
of the
you mean
face.
start at like a quarter of an inch out and then in with the
Yeah.
stroke? Yeah, because with your hand, the first one, you know you're safe. You know you're like a quarter of an inch away from where you ultimately want to end up.
I see.
And when you do that, on the next one, you move your hand in, you know, a little bit more, then you do that, and move it a little bit more, and it's kind of calibrating like a computer, you know, so you could go right up to it and know you're going to land there. Instead of just going at it with the first shot, you know, you get a couple of chances.
It's like not just diving into a cold swimming pool. Just dip your toe in there a little.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand. Wow, look at that. You're really eliminating the planes of her own skin, and you're making it very, all I'm starting to see now is a human skull. This is the best part, this is the most fun part of the makeup. This
When
is
it
where you
really
start
starts
to
to
see.
look.
Yeah. We're still here. We're just gonna sit back just for a second, and
I think we've said.
yeah, this is just this is the white part.
Yeah.
You know what's helpful? I'm back now. You know what's really helpful? Is when you sit back from the television monitor and squint your eyes a little bit and look at this makeup. I mean, it really breaks it down to its elements.
It really becomes a skull.
Yeah, you don't see the hint of the eyebrow anymore. It's really totally white, and you can see all the color, just the true placement of the colors. That's a good way to look at it. Just squint your eyes slightly. I mean, when I'm sculpting monsters and stuff, and you too, I know, Doug, even in the sculpture we squint and break it down about 15–20% in our eyes, in our mind's eye,
Yeah,
so that you can really see the the basic structures there.
Yeah, or get up and run about 20 feet away from it, 30 feet away from it, and look at it from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes I'll do something. I'll set up a mirror on the other side of the room and look at it through the mirror.
That's
to see its
right.
most basic forms.
You're breaking it down a generation or two. You're looking at it through another, like breaking it down element by element.
Yeah. And you have your sculpting glasses, the Ray-Ban, what Wayfarers.
Oh, my Wayfarers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John recommends the Ray-Ban Wayfarer sculpting glass. Just go to the optometrist and tell him that you want the Ray-Ban prosthetics.
It's helpful in your sculpture and your painting. It breaks it down a shade or two, makes things kind of black and white, and you look like one of the Blues Brothers.
Oh, remember that we had that shrinking glass?
Oh, the reducing.
Yeah, it looked like a magnifying
lens.
glass, but it reduced things.
Yeah, you could hold it up in front of a painting or a piece of sculpture.
And it would make it look 20 feet away.
That helped.
And then when you held it up to the sun, it didn't burn things, it froze them.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I used to freeze ants. Diligence and control in all your lines while painting, please.
Boy, you'd hate for her to sneeze right about now, wouldn't you? You might have to start all over again.
I think she heard you.
Oh yeah, she's starting to twitch a little. She's very good. She's a very good model.
Yeah, she's an excellent model. You know what makes for an excellent model? Someone who can sit still.
They're very hard to find.
Yeah, there aren't too many. I find that kids are better than adults.
Do you?
Yeah.
We had on our last film job, we did a lot of skull-like work and corpses and skulls, and on Poltergeist 3 we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of skull work in that job, didn't we, Doug?
Oh yeah, well, all the ghosts and things like that.
All those ghoulies.
So we've seen our share of skulls. And most of the time they're on the outside of someone's head.
Yeah. So it's always good to have a skull makeup in your hip pocket,
Yeah.
being a makeup artist.
9 times out of 10 they're going to go for the bloody skull. So be sure that you can produce.
Look at the control on those teeth. It doesn't look like a chin anymore. It doesn't look like a human chin. It really looks like bone. This is a fun makeup.
At night, boy, you go out with this at night. They used to, I used to see for like anti-nuclear demonstrations and things, people in West Germany would paint themselves up as skulls.
Yes.
I forgot how effective that was. You know, and I knew it was a paint makeup, but there was something about it that scared me. It would definitely unnerve an opponent. I mean, what if you had to deal with someone painted like that in the street at night?
Mommy, help.
Help me.
I guess the scary thing about it too is that everyone's got one, and they all kind of look the same. So it could be you.
It strips us of our personality.
It sure does. Yeah, you're stripped of your character and personality. It's gone.
And that's the biggest fear about death.
It's just a shell.
Yeah.
An empty shell.
It's really coming in towards the
Oh,
last
Doug,
light
that
here.
looks beautiful. I love the profile.
Thank you.
Very
There you go.
nice.
I'll send you a check.
No, that's nice.
I smudged.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I have to throw it all out.
Now you're gonna do the neck? You're gonna take it that far?
Well, I'm just gonna do it fast, you know, impressionistic. Just 3 little blocks for the little bones in there, you know.
Oh, the spinal
Yeah,
column.
that's the spine. 3 little squares there, and then you just fill the rest of them with black, you know, and you got it. There it is.
Gee. I don't think I ever went that far with my skull make.
Well, you haven't lived.
Gee,
Not
nice
all the
touch.
way.
Well, it really finishes the whole image there. It's like a skull sitting on a bony neck all of a sudden.
Actually, I improvised that. Right? I didn't do that when I was testing. I just made that up right now.
So this is off the cuff here.
Yeah, a little improv.
I think that is helpful in being a makeup artist, to be able to pull something out of your kit. It happens on every job automatically anyway. But nice improvisation there, Mr. Drexler.
Thank you, lad. Thank you.
Harumph.
Harumph. Here, here.
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy. Maybe we shouldn't,
Huh?
Never mind.
Just paint.
Okay.
Don't pay attention to us. Well, really, we're talking because Johnny the Laser Mazur, you know,
Our producer.
the producer says that we have to say something. And we said, but why? I mean, all they have to do is watch the tape. It's all right there. You don't have to say anything. That Bob Kelly's a wild... We love Bob.
Oh, yeah. Bob Kelly gave him my first job. It was my first professional job. Bob Kelly was running a line of rubber appliances called Funky Faces, and he hired me as a sculptor, and that began my career. That's about 15 years ago I did that for Bob, and I've known him ever since. And he is a great person. We love him dearly.
Oh, you see how brusque I am here? You see that? Shh. You know, don't go by me.
Go by you.
Well, you must have good bedside manner. Be nice to the actor. I mean, you have to be up close with this person for, you know, a couple of hours or an hour or whatever. You might as well be friends.
Or try to be friends.
Yeah, and kill each other later.
Look at that. That really jumps out at you. Sorry.
Ruby kind of love. I think this thing's over pretty soon.
Yeah, I think we're coming to a close here.
I didn't know I could concentrate for this long.
Concentration is important. Is a must.
Wow,
Wow.
Okay, well, we're going to finish it up and turn you back over to our host. Well, there it is. Pretty simple. Just follow the step-by-step directions on the tape, and you're not going to have any problem at all. And if you use your imagination, you could get, you know, an old piece of cloth and stitch it into a headdress, a hood like this, and you could go out and start claiming souls right away. So have fun.
Okay. Hi, I'm John Caglione. I'm a makeup artist, and this is Rosalie. And we're here with Bob Kelly Cosmetics today, and we're going to have some fun making up Rosalie look possessed. And we're going to do it all with paint, and we're going to have a good time. So let's get started. Well, here we are again, and this is John Caglione here.
And Doug Drexler, coming to you from downtown Brooklyn, New York.
Yes.
John, what exactly are you doing today?
Well, I'm right at this point, I'm starting to glue her eyebrows down and mat them down with a little Bob Kelly spirit gum just to get them flat and against her forehead.
All right, so what, you're going to paint them out or something?
Yeah, I'm going to block them out with a little makeup. And I want them to look, you know, kind of like your skull. No eyebrows.
Oh, well, you're going for the evil look.
Yeah, we're gonna you know, really make her possessed right now.
Possessed?
Possatski.
Possessed?
Yes.
You know, when she came in here, she looked so happy and healthy.
Yeah, so, you know, cheerful and everything.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that. Don't you hate that?
Yeah, well, we're going to take that all the way.
Yeah, let's fix her. Let's make her mean.
She has a great face for this makeup.
For possession makeup, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, she kind of looks like Linda Blair, doesn't she?
She does, yeah. The same, you know, apple cheeks, that little, you know, pug nose.
Yeah.
And those big, beautiful eyes. And you can have a lot of fun around those, you know, painting them.
Doesn't her nose look like a skull? The top of a skull from the eyes up? Here, when you move your hand, take a look.
Okay.
See? Look.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And why not, ladies and gentlemen?
Right now I'm going over her eyebrows with a Bob Kelly 2F brush and just plopping on more makeup to try to really black out those eyebrows and make them look like there's no eyebrows there. Something real scary about that when you block out the eyebrows. I don't know. It's what is it about that?
Well, it just brings out the skull-like feature of the head.
Yeah.
More, you know?
Expressionless.
Yeah.
But this makeup is really a fun one to do for me because this was the makeup that really turned me on to makeup and wanted to be a makeup artist. This was the film The Exorcist.
Oh, well, you know.
And boy.
It had that effect on a lot of people.
Yeah, it was...
Our hero, Dick Smith.
Yes. A great makeup. The thing about that makeup was that it wasn't really a far-out monster. It was... it looked like it was within the realm of possibility. And I think that's what's really scary about that makeup. It really had an effect on me. Right now I'm patting on a little Bob Kelly Frankenstein gray mixed with Bob Kelly's Lady Fair cream sticks. And I'm putting it on the thin side so we can still see some of her own.
Well, I noticed you're patting it on. It's not like you're like wiping it on her face.
Yeah.
Most people, I think, if they've never done makeup, would grab the sponge and just wipe it across the face.
Yeah.
Doing that, it looks nice and even.
Well, yeah, you're really spotting the makeup on the face. You're pressing it into each area, and you don't get those streak lines.
Yeah, and when you pat it, it stays.
Yeah.
When you streak it, it kind of drags the colors along.
Yeah, you know, even if you miss it, you have a couple of thin spots and then some thick spots. Your skin is made up of blotches. It's not made up of
It's more
streaks.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so you can kind of buy the splotches. The streaks on a makeup tell it's a makeup.
Yeah.
But the idea here is to kill Rose's skin tone and make her look like she's not feeling well at all. Make her look like she's really sick. And when you're putting on your foundation, it's important not to pummel the actor to death. You wanna get that makeup on there and place it properly, but you don't want to. You want to have a gentle touch.
Be nice.
Be nice to the actor.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, they might not let you do this to them again. There you can see the change now with that Bob Kelly neutral face powder. It kind of brings back some of the warm quality and also mats out that grease color. Makes it look more matte and not so shiny. Right now I'm just following her own contours. You know, the sockets of the eyes, the little curl that Rose got around the corner of her mouth here. And I'm just accentuating those parts of her face. It's important to try to hit certain landmarks of the face so that when she moves it, all this makeup moves in concert with her own face.
You know, in a way, having the skull makeup just before this one, it is real. Well, it's actually a good idea, because in order to do the skull makeup, you're going to have to sit down and take a look at a real human skull, and that will help you paint these lines that John's putting in now, because they really coincide with the structure beneath the skin.
Yeah, of a human skull.
And it's like well, it's the same if you're an artist and you want to draw a human being, and they're clothed, you still have to understand anatomy so that the cloth falls properly, you know, and it's the same with skin.
Working around Rose's eyes here. And what I try to do a lot is not paint too many brush lines on a makeup like this. It's more like dots and dashes. And it goes back to applying your foundation. If it looks a little mottled and a little, you know, dots are better than brush lines. And
well, it's like what you were saying before about when you apply your foundation, not to streak it, because a streak, it has a lot of the same quality of a brush line.
right.
You know, it just isn't organic, and you can only use it in specific instances where there are lines, like where you're, like right there,
Yeah.
below the nasolabial fold. You know, the darkness there creates the illusion of flesh hanging over a little bit, as if there was a shadow there.
Right.
You know, the idea of the shadow gives the feeling that there's a fold.
See, I'm jumping around here a lot. That's just my style. I like to just move around the face. The nasolabial paint there, the curl in the upper lip there, adds a kind of a sinister look, like she's kind of smiling sadistically. Those little corner wrinkles around the corners of her lips there. It gives her a kind of a sneer, and that's what I'm going for in this makeup.
Oh, you're also, well, now you're changing her lip line.
Yeah.
Making her lips look a little bit swollen, like widening them out.
Make them
Parched.
Yeah,
Parched
parched
looking,
and,
yeah.
and chapped and very sore.
And those sinister brows.
Yeah, I'm trying to give her those mean furrows in the
Yeah.
eyebrows.
I mean, when you're doing this makeup, grab a mirror and squint up your face, and you'll see those same lines, basically, that John's putting in. Those are you know, sneer lines, anger lines, and stuff that are ingrained in her face. You're painting them in so they're there all the time. It's not just when she's sneering. She has a sneer painted on.
We're trying to make her look really mean. That's the idea. The color that I've been using for all these lines is the Bob Kelly Maroon. And I'm using a thin brush here and just placing all my different shadows and trying to make her face look asymmetric.
I love what you're doing there with the chin, because it's really makes it more pointed, you know, and brings it out there.
It pooches her face
The
on
sides
that
of her
side.
face, yeah.
And it also makes her chin stick out and makes her chin look really bony. I'm going over the nasolabial lines there, and I'm feathering them out to try to make them look round.
Yeah, notice how that makes them look heavier, like they have weight. And there's really nothing there. It's basically a flat contour of, you know, a young woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what you're trying to do is trick the eye and create shadows where they aren't.
Yeah.
You're putting shadows in with shading. And when someone looks at it, it registers, their mind fills in the rest. And it registers in their brain as, you know, an object hanging with weight.
Right.
It's so used to relating a shadow in the face to that it automatically will fill that in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unless they get too close under strong light.
Right now I've got a Bob Kelly black eyebrow pencil, and I'm starting to pencil in my self-inflicted cuts. And
In this case, inflicted by the makeup artist.
yes. And it's important to try to make these cuts look asymmetric and not the same on both sides, to make them a little bit different in their pattern. And the idea is to make this makeup look random instead of planned.
You know, when you do this makeup yourself, you could place them where John is placing them now, or, you know, you could take a picture out of a magazine, and with a felt tip marker, you could practice drawing cuts on the face until you get a pattern that you think looks random, but was placed carefully. You know, you've placed it carefully, but it has to give the impression of being random.
Right. Here we are going with our bruise colors around these cuts. I got a little Bob Kelly blue on a sponge. I rip off a little piece of sponge and a little triangular pattern so I can really punch in these splotches of color. And it's important for this makeup especially, and in its look, to use splotches of color. Don't paint with the brush. Plop colors on and let your hand go. Don't think about it too much. Have an idea in your mind and then just go with your feelings.
Yeah, and remember to have patience with yourself, too. Don't go too hard on yourself. If you're getting a little frustrated or you think it doesn't look right, I wouldn't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Just have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
You could always wipe the part off you don't like and try it again. The main thing is to keep at it.
And painting is, if you can paint a makeup, that's everything. The paint is everything.
Yeah. If you have a complicated rubber appliance makeup and you can't paint,
It doesn't matter.
It won't come to life.
Right. Here I am going in with some Bob Kelly maroon, and I'm filling in these cuts now, making them look really red and infected looking, nasty, swollen. And you can see with the Bob Kelly blue and green around the outside edges of the cut how it punches the cut and makes it look like it's coming off the face.
So generally, the lighter anything is, the closer it seems to the camera, as you can see right there. See that? He's popping in the white.
See, that's white. That is not even a skin color. That is white cream stick.
But see how it gives the impression that that is higher than the opposite edge of the cut. Just by adding that white there. It's given...
It's an illusion. It lifts it off the face. It makes that cut look raised, and that's the idea.
And if you want something to look deep, then you make it darker.
Right.
The darker it is, the further away. The lighter it is, the closer it appears.
Right, exactly. It's looking kind of swollen and nasty there, Mr. Drexler, isn't it?
I'm getting scared.
Listen, before we got into doing foam rubber makeups for films, we didn't have the money for that when we were kids growing up, and all we did was paint our faces and our friends' faces. And I think for the first 4 or 5 years, that's all I did was paint.
You see, his mother told him to go out and paint the fences, and he didn't hear her right. And he went out and he thought he was supposed to paint faces. And that's how he got started doing makeup, believe it or not.
This is fun though. I love painting.
It's an amazing illusion. Look at how much you can do with paint.
And remember, this is dots of color. Dots of color. No streak lines here. There. Now if you want to make something look a little darker and deeper, I'm going back inside certain areas of the cut with black cream makeup, and I'm making that cut even deeper looking.
I noticed that, Mr. Caglione, sir. You know, people tend to put the cart before the horse when, you know, whether they're learning how to draw or they want to do makeup. You know, their first impulse is to go out and try to do rubber appliances immediately because that's, you know, but
That is putting the cart before the horse in this business.
you know, you should spend a little time drawing and painting on faces and learn the structure.
I think you should spend much of your time in the beginning learning how to paint the face. Because if you can paint the face and get across your ideas and make it look real, when you start to work it three-dimensionally, you already have a firm foundation and ideas of color and placement of color, and it's just going to improve your sculpture that much more. I mean, it did me. That's all I did for years was just paint faces.
Here, here. Here,
Harumph.
here.
I'm going back with some Bob Kelly maroon, and I'm just punching in little deeper spots. The nice thing about this makeup is that you can really discolor the face and make it look weird. You can have a lot of fun with color on this makeup.
I think Rose getting a little bit bored.
Yeah, I think she's getting a little nervous.
We beat her today, didn't we? Poor kid.
Okay, I kind of like the cuts that I've painted there, and as you can see, I'm going over with Bob Kelly's neutral powder, and I'm setting the makeup just so that it doesn't run or.
Yeah, and once again, pat the powder on. Don't wipe it onto the face.
Right, because you'll obliterate all your paint you just put there. You have to press it on, and you might even lift some of the makeup off onto the puff, but at least you're not streaking the makeup. Okay, for me, this is really the fun part of the makeup, is really working around the eyes and getting, you know, the eyes are everything in a makeup. It's really the focal point of a makeup, any makeup. And it's important how you paint around the eyes. I mean, you really, this is where you add your character, I think, to the makeup, is working around the eyes. And I especially love painting eyes. And right now, the look I'm trying to get is just a real angry, mean, knitted brow look here.
Yeah, well, I see you're really making it sockety looking in there.
Yeah.
You know, go, drag out that picture of the human skull that we mentioned you should get on the first makeup and compare it to what John's doing on the face here. You know, he's putting in the orbit of the eye that the eyeball is set into, just like a human skull. You know, these are subliminal things that people are, for some reason, are afraid of.
Yeah.
You know, it makes them nervous.
Plus, it gives the illusion that the eye is floating in a black pool. I mean, it's really sunken in, and it makes it look very soul soulless. I mean, it's it makes it look very cold. Some more cut action here on the forehead.
Go for a forward gash. Like some of that subtle stuff that you did on the, you know, where it's like padded out.
Onto the forehead there.
Yeah, because I mean the hard lines are great for the, you know, the deep crevices in the face, but just what you've done coming up out of the right eye, the corner of the right eye, where it's that kind of bluish softness, gives it a more of a fleshy appearance.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
This makeup really is, and any makeup really, is just the use of your imagination, wouldn't you say, Doug? I mean, it's just,
Yeah, absolutely.
you got to follow an idea in your mind and have fun with it.
You know, you have to kind of sit down for a few minutes and think about things that are traditionally scary. Over the years, have never failed to scare people.
Yes.
You know. And well, I mean, as we talked about before with the human skull, that's a you know, an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
And if you could get that in there and create the impression of a human skull.
I'm sinking your temples here, and all these things just help to add character to the entire makeup.
So well, those areas on the temples where you're sinking it in, on the skull makeup, those are like almost totally black areas because they are so depressed in the skull. But once you lay the skin over it, it would just be a shaded area, not black.
Right.
Because the skin, you know, softens and rounds. See, there he goes, right there. Look back at the skull makeup. That whole area is a black area that runs back.
Yes. We're dealing with skin now. We have to paint flesh. The skull makeup was bones. Now you've got skin over those bones now, and you have to give the illusion that the skin is sinking and receding over a skull.
The skin rounds it out and softens it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only place that you have hard, you know, dark graphic-like things are where there are actually like cuts in the face or wrinkles or crevices. Everything else is soft.
Right.
And usually applied with your finger.
Yeah.
Or if you apply with the brush, you go back with your finger and blot it out. So
The finger's a great tool. I mean, I've found over the years. Instead of, you know, works. Brushes are very good for landing, you know, certain wrinkles, but your finger really is, you know,
it's the ultimate organic paintbrush.
Yes. And if you paint like I do with dots, it really works well.
And if you don't have any fingers, Bob Kelly has some fingers to paint with. Check his catalog.
Well, here I am jumping over to the other side of Rose's face and just evening out the makeup. I have a tendency to work one side of the face first, see what I like about it, and then start to slowly move over to the other side. I don't know why, but it works for me. I'm giving her some lip service here. And just trying to make her lips look really nasty and
Yeah, you're really putting the cracks in there now.
like they hurt.
You're killing me.
Ouch.
She's come a long way, John, since...
Yeah, she's looking kind of scary.
She looks like she's got rubber pieces on.
You think so?
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug. Oh, we got a little smile out of Roe there, too.
Yeah, she... Oh.
Just have fun with your colors. Try anything. I mean, that's the great thing about paint. You can just wipe a spot off and go back over again and try something
You know, you can't drive down the wrong side of the street, but you can do anything you want with paint on someone's face.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And in the beginning, don't get frustrated. I mean, I've been painting faces now professionally for about 15 years. And so I have a kind of an idea in my head, and I've done a lot of painting. So, you know, don't be, like Doug said, don't be too hard on yourself. Just have fun and trial and error.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you were starting out, you beat yourself in the head.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I still do. We do.
Yeah, you know, we said don't worry, but isn't that stupid to say that? I mean, it's easy to say don't worry, but you're going to worry, and what the hell, you know? You're gonna. So beat yourself in the head and worry and be miserable, but do it.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Gee, I had an art teacher who said that the greater the suffering, the greater the artist.
Really?
Yep. I don't know if it's true or not. I guess it is with some people. Some people will do anything. Don't cut your ear off, though.
Working on the lips here. Trying to give them that round quality, that round sore kind of quality. This makeup is pretty much made up of blue, green, Frankenstein, these are all cream sticks. Maroon, green, blue, Frankenstein, gray, and black. There's about 5 colors on the face here. Some more cut action here, just to even out the makeup.
I love that gash across the top of the nose. Makes it like the nose is going to slide off.
Well, this makeup is certainly inspired by The Exorcist. My favorite movie of all time, and always will be. It's a clinic for makeup. If you want to be a makeup artist, that is the movie to watch. I mean, a lot of you probably don't even realize this, but like I didn't realize. But Father Merrin in The Exorcist, his whole face is foam rubber.
Yeah, whenever you mention The Exorcist to someone and you mention makeup, they think you're talking about the possession makeup. But
yeah.
That's a great makeup, but they're really, to us, I think,
Yeah.
they're really incredible makeup is the Father Merrin makeup. It's just, he's the old priest, and it was played by Max von Sydow, who was really a young man at the time.
He was about 42 or something like that.
And he was playing, what, like a 76-year-old man or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Dick Smith did an incredible rubber makeup. His whole face is rubber.
It is.
You never would think in a million years. And for me, that was when I knew that makeup was really amazing.
Yeah, a thunderbolt went through me. He is our foremost invisible, isn't he?
Yeah.
See, that's the great thing about, that's one thing you should strive for when you're doing makeup, even paint. I mean, we're having a good time and we're going really wild here with Roe. But the whole idea with makeup is to try to make it not look like there's a lot of makeup there. To try to make it look as natural as possible, even though you're heavily painting a face.
When you start doing a lot of makeup, you'll start finding out who your friends are.
Yeah, I didn't have too many of those. I was kind of weird growing up. You know, while all the other kids were going out on the weekend and having parties, I was upstairs making myself up as an old man or Quasimodo or something. I missed my whole adolescence, but I'm glad I did.
Well, you're making up for it now, though.
Yeah. She's looking rather bloated, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yep. She looks like she's been in the canal a little too long. No smiling.
I like this makeup.
Yeah,
It's amazing what you can do with some paint.
it really is.
I like Bob Kelly's whole catalog of these tapes, these Halloween tapes, because it shows such a wide range of what you could do with paint. It's amazing, you know, the clown, makeups, and the skull makeup, and a more subtle monster dispossession makeup. Paint. We recommend just the paint. It's a great way to learn how to do makeup. It's the only way.
You said it, buddy boy.
Okay.
Great.
A little powder to set it all. And I think we're there. I think we're at the finish line. Thank you for hanging in there and watching this.
And thank you, Ro.
And thank you, Ro, for letting us do this to your face. Thank you. Have fun with the paint.
Great job, John.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Well, there she is. There you go, Ro. She's possessed. And just pull out your makeup and your makeup colors and your brush and have a good time.
Hi, I'm Jay Pearlman, and this is Richard Rogers. Richard's going to be our model for this segment. We're going to do some simple makeup for you. And what we think is apropos in this case is a nice, simple derelict or hobo. And we're going to do it with a little bit of putty on the nose, or molding wax, actually. We're going to use some paint, highlight and shadow, and we're going to use a little bit of stippling to create an unshaven effect. So if you follow along with us, we're going to start right now. Richard, before we get into that, we're going to let you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you've done.
Okay, well, currently I'm studying with the First Amendment Improv Company. In the past, I've done a few shows for Theater for the New City, namely The Tree Artist, and besides that, I've done some parts in shows such as The Imaginary Invalid, Bedroom Farce, and A Flea in Her Ear.
Okay, without any further ado, we're going to start. As you see, we have him all draped and prepared. You want to take a couple of moments out to just prepare yourself, get some old work clothes on, and spread out your materials. Get a lot of room, a lot of space, and now we're going to start. First thing is we're going to put a little molding wax on his nose. Now this comes in a container of plastic, so you may have to roll it around a little and give it a little shot. There we go, we can get this out. Now you have the choice of using a little bit of spirit gum adhesive to help it stick better, or if you have sensitive skin, you can just put the wax right on the skin and sculpt it. Just spread it in, add a little at a time till you build up your shape. Now we're not going to add a lot. We're just using our fingertip to tap this and make it a little sticky. And we're going to start out by putting a little ball of wax, the whole ball of wax, right here on his nose. Another little piece around that. Spread it in, squash it in. Big mistake people make is they try and add a whole gigantic new nose when all they might need to do is just change the tip of the nose or maybe the bridge of the nose or something like that. You don't need a whole gigantic shape that goes all the way out on your cheeks if all you want to do is just change the tip or the bottom. Here we go. Spread your edges. Now don't hurry through this. Give yourself time. And practice is essential, folks. You have to practice. Now, we're going to work quickly here because the nose is not really the whole makeup. We want to put a little bit of a foundation on him, give him a little line or two on his face, shading, make him look very grubby and grimy and disreputable, maybe even pencil his eyebrows in, a couple of things. But we'll give him a nice, uneven, derelict-type nose. Now, once you get the rough shape done like that, the best thing to do is take a little bit of oil and powder him. And I like to use the ordinary Kelly Blue Mist Makeup Remover oil because it's thin enough, and I just take the cap from the bottle. And I run my fingers in around the cap there, and whatever oil comes off on my fingers, that's really all I need to do the smoothing. And if you work fast and accurately, and you can even use the back of a brush handle or a little plastic butter knife to help you smooth it. You know, if you work accurately and quickly, you'll have pretty good results. But we chose a derelict here because you can put a nose for a derelict on really quickly. Fast, 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 if you have to. And it'll still look pretty decent. for more elaborate makeups or sculpted shapes, you want to give yourself a little more time. Now, once you have just that much on, take a little powder. Put some powder on it. Helps to get rid of the oiliness, and it'll take makeup a little better. And now we're ready to put on some paint. Now, I've taken a piece of foam plastic sponge here, and I have made myself a little wedge. This is what I'm going to use to apply the foundation. I'm not going to use my hands. I'm not going to use them because it's a big mess. Spreading and smearing and getting my hands all grubby and filthy. I'd rather use the sponge. It's much more sanitary. Use it and you throw it away. Now we're going to put a little darker, more ruddy, weather-beaten skin tone on him. We'll carry the makeup down the neck. Usually you want to make up whatever skin is exposed. And keep it thin. You don't need an awful lot to get a good result. You just have to keep it thin. The sponge helps you do that. You ever see somebody go around in a Halloween makeup and it just looks too heavy and there's no thought behind how much war paint they're putting on? And that's what it looks like after a while, war paint. You don't need a lot. See? You can even put a little base over your mouth. If your lips are too ruddy, you can reshape them, draw a new shape there. And when you get to the nose, work carefully. But you use the same makeup on the nose that you use on the rest of his face. In this case, we're using little Mirage makeup in a fairly dark tan shade. The color, the particular color name that I'm using is not really as important as what the color looks like when it's on your skin. That's what you're really more concerned with. Color can be called anything, but if it doesn't look right for the job and for the character you're creating, it's not going to work. Now that you have a little bit of that on, now we'll touch that up a little bit more here. I'm going to put on a few little shadow lines. Now you'll need a brush to do this properly. You can do a nice job with your hands, but unless you have the ability to paint some nice lines here, you're not going to be able to do a good job. We'll even put a little shadow here, a little shadow there. Around the eyes, too, we can even put, and we're going to use another color. You always will get a better result in your makeups if you use more than one color for a shadow. Some people just reach for the darkest dark color they can. And then, when they want to make a darker area, they have nowhere to go. So I say don't put in the darkest dark color first. I'm using a color called medium rose. You can use that. You can mix a little brown into that even to get it darker if you want. But I always want to give myself the option of being able to use a darker color if I so choose. Now, one thing you can do to help really make the skin look like it's rougher or rougher textured is take a black stipple sponge. Now, stipple sponges look like little miniature pieces of air conditioner filters or something similar. And what they're used for is black stipple sponges give a speckled, uneven texture when you use them properly. I'll hold one up so you can see it. We're going to take this sponge right here and give it a little snip. And we can take a dark color. You can use dark brown or even a little black mixed in like I'm going to do. And if we have him turn just this way, watch what we do here. You can get a nice 5 o'clock shadow effect. You just dab it on very gingerly. Don't gouge your sponge into your color. You don't want to pick up too much color on the sponge. You just want to pick up enough so that when you tap it down, you get specks. Not smears, specks. Wherever a person's beard would grow, that's where you can put this in. If you're very young and you don't have a beard growing on your own, you can just look at a picture of an adult and see where you can put your stipple marks. Now, We'll have him lift his head up a little bit too. You don't just have to put a beard on with this. You can use it with other colors to create a ruddy, weather-beaten skin, or any color you want. You can add red to it, you could add yellow to it, whatever looks good. Now we're going to take a little bit of a rust color here and just make some reddish specks. I don't know how much of this is going to show up on the camera, but believe me, up close, it looks quite effective. You can even dab this over the nose to get a few specks of reddish or brownish or yellowish color, whatever works for you. Well, we're going to carry some of those red spots and blotches up toward his forehead and on the cheeks here, too. If you can make your skin look uneven in texture, then you're going quite a ways toward aging it, making it look less youthful. You can even put in a couple of little highlight dots here if you want to make an area more prominent. You can do that too here a little bit. There. Now, like I said before, if you want to put a darker shading color on your model, do it after you put the first general coat of shading on him. Now, we'll go to a darker brown. If he closes his eyes, you'll see how we can get that color right in there, and it looks even darker around here, too. Now, these makeups we're using are cream makeups. Cream stick makeup, Kelly Mirage makeup. They don't dry out. You have to dry them by powdering them. So just use a little bit of powder on your puff at a time. Press it in gently. Don't smack him senseless. You can even reshape the mouth a little bit if you want. Bring the corners down. Give him a new upper lip. I think I want to give him a new upper lip. I'm going to mix a little red and black into that to get it really grimy looking. I think with his old lip, I don't know, with the old lip, I think he was starting to look like Jack Nicholson. There, we'll put a little bit. Give him a sneer. And a little gray or a little black in that should do. Now, when we powder him, you don't want to smear the makeup. So how you powder is important. So what we're going to do is use a shaker container. Now, a lot of times, people use big jars. When they put powder on people, they knock the jar over, they make all sorts of a mess. What we're going to do is just put a little powder on the puff and fold it in. When you have it all nicely loaded up with powder, then we can go in there and press it down. And when you press it, it helps blend in your makeups a little bit better. And don't smear it. Even though it looks like I'm smearing it, I'm not. I'm really just tapping it, going to another area, tapping it, going to another area. Be very, very careful. If you use a stippled beard shadow like we did here, be careful you don't smear it. But when you have the makeup set, it doesn't look greasy. No shine. And this helps keep it drier. And then once the makeup is dried, you can use other things like makeup pencils. If you have a greasy surface, you see, pencils don't work all that well. So dry off the makeup. If you need a little more powder, if the powder puff isn't doing the job, you go in there and put a little more on him. Now we can take some pencils and reshape his eyebrows or paint extra lines on him if we want. You can always add a little bit of lining with a pencil if you want to darken in some lines that might have faded away from the powder. Yeah. But we're going to add some big, shaggy-looking eyebrows on him. I'm really just drawing them on one hair at a time, just hairlines, hair strokes. You're not going to get as good a result if you just play like a coloring book backwards and forwards. Yeah, well. Now there's a really grubby looking eyebrow, and the other eyebrow, you see, for contrast, what it looked like. And we'll make that match. And then again, just take your time. Try not to let outside distractions disturb you, and have an idea what you're going to do before you go ahead and assault this poor boy's face. If you have an idea, you have a practice session, or you have a drawing or a photograph you're working from, many times it works better than if you just try to make it up as you go along. People never know when to stop. They never know when enough is enough. Now, I think we can give him a little bit of a mussed-up hairdo here to help this along. And if you really want to be perverse, give him a hat. Here's an old hat for a hobo. And this definitely looks like he's been on the road for about 1 year too many. Have a simple derelict makeup. We put a little molding wax on the nose. We used a little darker foundation, some brown and medium rose shading. We used a stippled beard, and we put a little ruddiness with a stipple sponge across the cheeks and the nose, penciled on the eyebrows. And if you practice once or twice, you'll probably be improving on this. So don't let it throw you. Get your paints out and practice. And now we have something new to show you. We're back, and now we're going to do a simple witch makeup. Something very simple that you can do without any practice or preparation, I would say. Just get out your paints and have some fun. It's going to be all paint. We're going to use some green. We're going to use black. We're going to use a little bit of yellow, and maybe a couple of little surprises at the end when we're all done. Our model is Tracy Kelly, and if the name Kelly sounds a little familiar to you, yes, this is Bob Kelly's daughter. So we're going to turn Bob Kelly's daughter, Tracy, into a witch. First thing we need is some sponge. We have a little cut sponge here, and our green foundation stick. Now, first thing is get a goodly amount of paint on your sponge and start in, little by little, dabbing this all over her face. Now, when you're covering somebody's skin with another color, a color that's not a natural skin shade, like a green, like we're using here, or yellow, or purple, or one of the bright colors in the Kelly series, you want to try to work in smaller areas at a time. The reason why is, I don't know if you can see this, we're going to try, if you try to smear quickly with your green paint, you notice you don't get a really vivid, intense green. However, if you tap the makeup with a slightly up and down motion, then notice how really vivid green that is. And that's what you want. You want the nice bright colors to stay bright and vivid. And if it means working a little slower and tapping the makeup up and down, that's what you have to do. Tapping the makeup up and down will ensure you that you get no streaks or clumps of paint or brush strokes or sponge strokes. Now, like I said before, in any makeup you've seen me demonstrate, if you have exposed skin, you have to make it up. For the sake of this demonstration, I think we may leave some of it off the ears. But that's because we're going to do a little something with hair at the end to really make it look like a traditional witch. Now, when I say a traditional witch, I'm assuming, for the sake of the Halloween crowd out there, that we're going for a scary but fun witch. But you know that witches can look like anything you design them to look like. They can be beautiful, they can be scary, they can have big noses and warts, or they can have very smooth skin. You are the boss, you're the designer. But for now, we'll do a nice storybook witch, maybe something reminiscent of a Wizard of Oz-ish type green witch. And we'll move to another side of the face, but you see, work slowly. Now, another thing you can do, if you want, is you can actually take the foundation stick and paint right across skin. And what you do then is you just put on a few strokes, and then you take your sponge and even it out. If you have to do a lot of faces for Halloween, you might want to try applying it right from the stick at first, and then smoothing it in with your sponge. But the sponge is the important item, because that is what will give you the nice, even green color. Now, I'm using cream stick makeup, part of the Bright Colors series. I really recommend that you use cream makeups when you're working with bright colors like green, etc., because if you use pancake makeups or liquid makeups, they'll tint the skin, yeah, but they won't give you the really, really vivid green that we're looking for our witch. If you use a rubber nose, which we're not going to use in this makeup, but you might want to put a witch's nose on somebody one day, or you might want to take a little bit of molding wax and sculpt a nose. But if you sculpt it out of wax, use the same makeup we're using here to cover it. If you use a rubber nose, use the green makeup that you'll find on the Rubber Mask Grease Paint palette, which is special makeup for rubber items, and you'll be able to color that 1, 2, 3. But try not to miss a spot. The Jolly Green Giant. And you can even put it on the mouth. It's not toxic to put this on the lips. You don't want to put it in the mouth, but there's nothing harmful about it if it's on the lips. Yeah, so put it around the mouth. When you work close to the eyes, and you'll have to eventually work in close to the eyes, just remember, gently, gently, gently. You can cause serious damage to somebody's eyes if you're careless. And above all, you stress safety when you use these items. Nothing toxic about it, but you have to be careful. If somebody is wearing contact lenses, you must be doubly careful. Many times, a person with contact lenses in has to remove them so the makeup can be applied. And when the makeup is all completed, they can replace their lenses. Now, she's not wearing contacts, so we can go gently over the lid. If you're working around the eye area and you know that you're going to have a different color totally shading the eye area, you might want to leave off the green or the foundation you're using when you get really, really close to the eye. If another color has to go there, why waste effort and risk having the colors mixed together when you don't want that to happen? So we're not going to go all the way up to the eye, because we have another color that we're going to add in there for a little bit of shading. Now, once you get just this much on, we will go around the other side again and continue over here. In a regular makeup or a natural makeup, and especially if any of you out there have seen our other videotapes, our instructional tapes on theatrical makeup and basic stage makeup, you'll notice when we put shading and contouring on the face, we use brown colors, grayish browns, yellow browns, tan browns. We never use pure black or pure white or yellow for highlighting or any crazy colors like that. That's for realistic makeup. This makeup, obviously, is non-realistic. It's imaginative, so those rules don't apply. Rules that say, for example, don't shade in black, or don't highlight in this color or shade in that color. When you're dealing with non-realistic, imaginative makeups, different rules apply. Sometimes no rules apply. Now we're almost done with the basic face foundation here. Now we use the terms base and foundation interchangeably. All it really is the same color, whatever color you choose to put on the face to give her the tint for the character that she has to be. If your sponge gets too gummy with makeup, go to a clean sponge. So we're going to be putting the shading on her face with black cream paint. Actually, it's Bob Kelly lining color. But you can use the black out of your clown kit if you have a clown kit. You can even use a black stick. They make any of the colors we're using in stick form also, whichever is easier for you. Now, one thing I'm going to caution you about when you're working with the bright colors, like green or red or colors like that or white. Don't put regular translucent powder over it to set the makeup, because if you use a powder with a pink tint, it may turn the makeup slightly pink. You can actually use white clown powder, or even a little talc or baby powder, gently to set this. And I'll tell you another thing you can use, which a lot of people don't realize. You can even take a green pancake makeup and rub a powder puff on it and use it as a dry powder to powder and dry the same color of cream makeup. Green pancake powder over green makeup. And you see there won't be any color change. You see we're getting here, we're getting a nice bright green. And it's not easy being green. Now, just about now, well, I'm going to stop right at the front of the neck because it'll take me a year and a day to cover all the skin here and do it properly, but I think we get the idea. We'll take a little black. I said before, you don't usually put shading on in this color, but for a non-realistic makeup, we can give it a shot. We're going to use a brush for this, though you can use your fingertips if you have a delicate touch. We'll have her close her eye, and we'll paint a little bit of that black really close to the lashes. And we'll paint this just near the lashes, from one corner of the eye to the other, and we fade it upward, gently, toward the eyebrow. Give it the effect of a little contouring there, make it a little darker. Same thing here. All we're really doing is painting the same contours that you'd paint on somebody if you want to make them old. See, little smile line or a frown line here, you can rub that in. And we'll do the same on the other side here. And if you want to make it easier on yourself and you can't estimate where her lines would go very easily, just have your model smile, or give us a smile, and look at the way the wrinkles show up. You can just squint your face, snarl, growl, do anything you have to do to make those lines show up, and then you can paint them on with your brush. Now, look upward toward the ceiling here. If your model rolls the eyes upward and keeps them up, then the brush will not poke them in the eye. But remember, work carefully around the eyes. You see? And we'll do the same to the other side here. Just smooth that in. And we'll paint just close to the lashes. Now, you shouldn't have anybody distracting you or horsing around or anything like that when you're working with paint close to somebody's eyes or your own eyes. There we go. And we have some shading around the eyes. All right. Now we'll shade the cheeks. And she can relax her eyes a little bit. And you see what we're doing here is we're just putting some paint right in the deepest part of the cheekbone. And you can even use your fingers to help spread that smoother, or use a sponge or the brush. And we'll do that on the other side too, so you can see. You feel with your brush where the cheekbone really sinks in deepest. And you see that's where we can put our color. It starts out in this general area, and you fade it back and forth. Don't bring it up too high, though. Don't bring it up over the cheekbone. See, just like this. Gently. And you put that shading there. A little darker if it has to be. And tap it down with your fingertip. Help blend it a bit. Now around the mouth, I see we could even put a little shadow there too, if you like. Maybe even a little shadow at the corner. Now you can even paint the mouth in black if you want to make it scary. Try giving the lips color with black cream. You handle it like you'd be painting on a lipstick. That's all there is to it. And like we said before, there's nothing toxic about this if it's used on the mouth. Don't put it in the mouth, but on the mouth you should not have any problems. See? Just as if you'd be painting on a nice, pretty lipstick. Except in this case, it's black lipstick. Not very pretty. Now, blot your lips together, my dear. And we're going to add some highlights to this. I'm going to use a yellow color, a bright yellow. I'm going to use a bright yellow applied with a fingertip. And we'll just get some nice highlights up here of bright yellow, perhaps. Just a little bit. Not too much. A little bit here. And maybe one down the nose. And maybe a little above the eyebrow. Maybe make it a little evil looking. We're painting really the bones of the skull, actually, with our yellow paint. And once you decide that you've done all of the moist painting, all the shading, all the cream mixing, or what have you, then you might want to powder the makeup off to dry it a little bit. We said before, don't put on powder that has pink tint or other crazy colors to it. Stick to something that's either a neutral white or even the exact same green if you have that in pancake. So we're going to use a white powder, and I'm going to shake some of the powder out onto the powder puff. I'm not going to use a lot of powder. The more powder I use, the paler and dustier and cakier the makeup might look. So we'll just use enough to take down some of the shine. And when you have one area powdered, again, we just go on to the next area. Press it in gently. Don't rub. Don't smear the powder by rubbing it, because you'll smear all of the details and lines that you've just worked so hard to paint. So be gentle. You might want to work just on smaller areas at a time. But whatever you do, don't smear it. Powdering the makeup will help it to last a little longer. Especially around Halloween, you may want to wear these things for several hours. So powdering the makeup, if you know you're going to have it on for a few hours, will help you to wear it better without the smudging and smearing that seems to happen when you don't set the makeups at all. There you go. You see, it doesn't really change the makeup that much. Now, after you powder the face, there are some things in makeup that don't need powder. We want to put some eyebrows on her. We can put them right on with eyebrow pencil. And that doesn't need to be powdered. So you can just put that on right over the finished powdered makeup. You can even take false eyebrows and glue them on too, with crepe wool. They can be glued with spirit gum right over the finished makeup. But if you don't want to use strong glues and have to work with solvents and other things, try this technique. You see, just add little lines until you make the shape you want, until you feel that you've done just what you want it to look like. There. Now, a witch's makeup isn't really complete unless it has some sort of hair or a wig or something. And we have something, and we're going to put that on her right now. A nice black wig or a gray wig can work wonders. And with a little bit of a brush up, if you have a wig brush handy. No. There we go. Just brush it through. You can buy these wigs in novelty stores or rent them from Bob Kelly Wig Creations. But now we have a very seductive, sexy, green witch. And if you want to be more elaborate, there's a hat. This does not come from Bob Kelly Cosmetics. But now we have a hat. Simple witch's makeup, green foundation, black shading colors, yellow highlights, black eyebrow pencil, and a wig thrown in for good measure. You can do this, believe me, there is nothing difficult about this. Just get out your paints, follow along with the videotape, and the rest is up to you. Well, we hope you've enjoyed the videotape you've just seen, and if you're serious about makeup, you've probably been following along with this and have picked up some new techniques to practice on yourself and your friends, or your enemies with, for that matter. But if you're serious about makeup, really, then you're going to want to do some independent study once in a while, and we have 3 books which we can really recommend to you. First of all, Stage Makeup by Richard Corson. It used to be the Bible of stage makeup, still is, and this book will teach you just about whatever you have to know for basic makeup artistry. Next to that, you see a book called Makeup for Theater, Film, and Television. This is written by Lee Bagan, also an excellent, excellent book for all-round makeup technique. And next to that, you see Techniques of Three-Dimensional Makeup, also by Lee Bagan. This book is for the advanced student who wants to know more about mold making, casting for prosthetics, application, foam latex. This is the book for you. All of these books are excellent if you want to study and learn more about makeup. And speaking of makeup, let's take a couple of moments and show you right here some of the makeups that we have for you here at Bob Kelly Cosmetics. You see lipsticks, we have clown white, bright colors, liquid foundations, any color pencil you want, primary colors in stick form, student kits. This is the cream stick kit with foundations and lining colors, and next to it on the end here we have the Mirage kit. These are versatile makeups. They can be used in theater, film, television, streetwear, fashion, photography, whatever you want to do, this will be your makeup. And the next step is up to all of you. Get your colors together, get a book or 2, follow along with our videotapes, and practice, practice, practice. You can't get better unless you practice. We hope to see you on the next videotape. And until then, get out the colors, get out the pencils, and paint a face.
I told you it was going to be a good tape. My friends and all, they're very handsome. They're wonderful guys. They are a little weird, but I guess all us artists kind of hang around with each other that way, you know. Anyway, enjoy your Halloween, and I'll see you out there at one of your schools at one particular point. Bye-bye. Ah!